Throughout history, wars have reshaped nations, altered destinies, and carved the bloody path of humanity. While the world often remembers major conflicts like World War II or the Cold War, countless other wars have left profound impacts, yet they remain overlooked. Today we explore some of the most underrated wars in history, conflicts that deserve recognition not just for the lives they shaped and the borders they redrew, but for the lessons they offer to us, centuries later. These aren't just footnotes in dusty history books, they are flashes of lightning in our collective past that illuminate the path to the present. Get ready to explore battlefields you may have never heard of, meet figures lost to the mists of time, and grapple with the uncomfortable truth that sometimes, the most important stories, are the ones nobody tells. Let's travel back to the 1860s to the heart of South America, where we find the story of the Paraguayan War, a conflict so devastating that it's been referred to as the Devil's War and the Great War of South America. Imagine a nation, Paraguay, led by the enigmatic Francisco Solano Lopez, a leader determined to drag his nation onto the world stage. Paraguay found itself surrounded by giants, locked in a struggle against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. What began as political disputes exploded into a conflagration that would consume Paraguay for 5 long years. Imagine entire populations mobilized, thrown into the meat grinder of 19th century warfare. For Paraguay, the war became a fight for survival, a desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. The Triple Alliance unleashed a maelstrom of violence upon their smaller neighbor. Villages were razed, cities besieged, entire populations decimated by battles, disease, and starvation. Paraguay, a nation of roughly 500,000 people before the war, was left utterly shattered. Some estimates suggest that up to 70% of its population perished in the conflict. The war's end in 1870 saw Paraguay in ruins, its economy in shambles, its population decimated. The story of the Paraguayan War is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition and regional conflict. And yet, amidst the ruins, a flicker of hope. The resilience of the Paraguayan people, their determination to rebuild from the ashes, is a testament to the enduring human spirit. Now let's fast forward to 1896, to the island of Zanzibar, where the Anglo-Zanzibar War unfolded. Imagine the morning of August 27, 1896. British warships sit menacingly in the harbor, a stark reminder of European imperialism. Sultan Khalid bin Bargash, newly ascended to the throne, faces an ultimatum from the British Empire: relinquish your claim to power or face the consequences. Khalid chooses defiance, calling upon his loyal Zanzibari troops. At precisely 9 a.m., the first British shells begin to rain down upon the Sultan's palace. The bombardment is relentless, reducing the palace to rubble in minutes. The Zanzibari troops, hopelessly outmatched, put up a spirited but ultimately futile defense. The fighting lasts a mere 38 minutes, making it the shortest recorded war in history. By 9:38 a.m., the Sultan's flag is lowered, the palace is in ruins, and Khalid bin Bargash is in hiding. The British install their own puppet ruler and consolidate their control over the island. The Anglo-Zanzibar War, despite its brevity, is a chilling microcosm of the age of colonialism. Over 500 Zanzibari soldiers and civilians lost their lives in those 38 minutes. The Anglo-Zanzibar War may have been short, but its implications were anything but. Chapter 3. The 80 Years' War, Forging a Nation in the Crucible of Conflict. Now let's step back to the late 16th century, to a Europe embroiled in religious strife and political upheaval. This is where we encounter the 80 Years' War, a conflict so significant in its implications that it's difficult to overstate its importance. Imagine the Netherlands in the grip of the Spanish Habsburg Empire. The Dutch, chafed under Spanish rule, their resentment fueled by religious differences, economic exploitation, and a yearning for self-determination. In 1568, the Netherlands erupted in revolt. Led by William of Orange, the Dutch embarked on a struggle for independence that would span 8 long decades. Imagine the flat, watery landscapes of the Netherlands transformed into battlegrounds. The 80 Years' War was not just a struggle for political independence, it was also a clash of ideologies. The Dutch, renowned for their seafaring prowess, challenged Spanish dominance on the high seas. Cities like Leiden, under siege by Spanish forces, became beacons of resistance. The Dutch utilized their knowledge of the landscape to their advantage, employing guerrilla warfare and flooding tactics. Finally, in 1648, the war came to an end with the Peace of Westphalia. The Netherlands emerged from the conflict as a republic, a beacon of religious tolerance and economic innovation. The 80 Years' War, though often overshadowed, left an indelible mark on history. Chapter 4. The Lion's Defiance, Ethiopia's Stand Against Colonialism. Now let's journey back to the highlands of Ethiopia, a place where the spirit of independence burned brighter than perhaps anywhere else on the continent. It's here, in the late 19th century, that we encounter the First Italo-Ethiopian War. Imagine Ethiopia under the rule of Emperor Menelik II, a shrewd strategist and a charismatic leader. Menelik, aware of the growing threat of European colonialism, watched as Italy set its sights on the Horn of Africa. Italy underestimated the resolve of the Ethiopian people and the strategic brilliance of their emperor. In 1895, Italian forces invaded Ethiopia, confident of a swift victory. What they encountered was a determined resistance, a nation united in its defiance. The Battle of Adwa, fought on March 1, 1896, became a pivotal moment in African history. Ethiopian forces, tens of thousands strong, arrayed across the rugged terrain, their emperor leading from the front. The Italian forces, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, found themselves on the defensive. The Battle of Adwa was a resounding victory for Ethiopia, a testament to their military prowess. The news of the victory reverberated across the African continent and beyond. The First Italo-Ethiopian War demonstrated that African nations could resist European encroachment. Ethiopia's victory was a source of immense pride, a powerful symbol of resistance. Chapter 5. The Forgotten War That Reshaped America, the Mexican-American War. Let's turn our attention to North America, to the mid-19th century, a time when the United States was expanding westward. It's here that we encounter the Mexican-American War, a conflict often overshadowed by the American Civil War. Imagine the United States in the throes of manifest destiny, a belief in its God-given right to expand from coast to coast. Mexico, newly independent from Spain, controlled vast territories in what is now the American Southwest. The stage was set for a clash of empires. The Mexican-American War, sparked by border disputes and fueled by American ambition, began in 1846. The U.S. Army, led by generals like Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott, proved to be a formidable force. The Mexican army, plagued by internal divisions, fought bravely but was ultimately outmatched. Imagine the sun-baked battlefields of Texas, the dust and the smoke, the crackle of musketry and the roar of cannons. The war was not without its critics, both in the United States and abroad. Despite the opposition, the war raged on, and by 1848, Mexico City was in American hands. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, signed in February of that year, formally ended the war and ceded vast territories to the United States. The Mexican-American War had profound consequences for both nations. It's a reminder that the expansion of empires often comes at a human cost. From the blood-soaked plains of Paraguay to the sun-drenched battlefields of Mexico, from the shores of Zanzibar to the highlands of Ethiopia, these underrated wars remind us that history is vast and layered. Each conflict, no matter how forgotten, holds lessons about resilience, ambition, and the human cost of war. Understanding them isn't just about studying the past, it's about shaping a more informed and peaceful future. The echoes of forgotten conflicts serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the price of conflict and the enduring human need for peace. And so, we must ask ourselves, what other conflicts lay hidden in the shadows of history, waiting to be unearthed, their lessons learned, their stories told?